Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday. It's the last Friday of September, and I think tomorrow is October 1st. Wow. September really flew by. It's Jane from Surface Anthology and Chalk Mercantile, and I'm actually going live on both my Surface Anthology page today and Chalk Mercantile because I feel like I don't have enough hours in a day to pay attention to both pages, even though they're the same business. And, like me, I tend to overthink and overcomplicate things. And honestly, now I think I'm just going to put everything under Surface Anthology at some point. My store and my membership and my workshops. So I am live, and I'm going to let everybody know that's in my text group. If you're interested in joining my text group, I'll let you know when I go live and other important kinds of things in the decorative painting world. I won't inundate your phone with text. My number is 860-385-6369, and that's for, again, when I'm going live. Stuff is back in stock, a new blog post, that kind of thing. So let me let everybody know. All right. You know what's really funny? Because it has, hey Shannon, good morning, sunshine girl. I'm trying to send a text, and because it has the word hemp in it, they think it's a naughty word. I'm going to send anyway. I understand. Oh my goodness. All right. So that's gone. That's really funny. So I'm going to put a link for the hemp oil because I got a message last night from somebody over at Chalk Mercantile who is interested in buying the hemp oil, which is actually now called MilkOil. And it's not oil made from milk. It is hemp seed oil. But I'm going to put the link here, so get that out of the way. This is made from hemp seeds. Okay? It has nothing to do with pot or anything like that. It is hemp seed oil, and it's beautiful. And they wanted to know all about hemp oil, what they could use it for, is it safe, how to use it. So I'm going to go over all of that right now. Now let me make sure I did everything. Oh well, hopefully I'm live over at Chalk Mercantile. So this is hemp oil, and I'm going to show everybody how to use it on this frame that I was showing my Surface Anthology members that I painted in Miss Mustard Seed milk paint, and this is Mora, the color, and it has no finish on it yet. So I'm going to show you how I use it on that. And look at this. Good morning, Barb. How are you? Shannon and Barb. It's Friday. Isn't this a beautiful cutting board? I do not buy a lot of stuff from Anthropologie. Sometimes I get my daughter-in-law things from Anthropologie. She's young. She's in her early 20s, and it's kind of cool stuff. But I saw this cutting board, and I had to have it. Look at this shape. And I've had this sitting around waiting to put a coat of hemp oil on it. I am not going to be using this for anything decorative. We're actually going to be using this because it's a really nice cutting board. It's thick. It's got to be an inch thick. It's heavy. Hey, Brenda, good morning. How are you today? Thanks for joining. It's just really beautiful, and I want it in my kitchen. I have this really old, and I'm embarrassed to say, plastic cutting board that we've been using, and I just don't think it's the healthiest. So I want to go back to using a wood one. So the hemp oil, let me get my little cheat sheet here. and it's called MilkOil, and that was what threw this person. So it's MilkOil, but that's because we use it on milk paint, and it's made by Miss Mustard Seeds milk paint, okay? So they call it MilkOil. Brenda is saying, using a magnifying glass to read instructions on the milk paint, and I wear glasses. I hear you. Oh my goodness. I have to go. I think since the pandemic, and I read a lot, Brenda, and I do needlework, like really close needlework. I have to go and get really serious magnifying glasses, and I think I need a new prescription. Don't you love the, oh, you love the shape? I love the shape of the MilkOil container, Barb. And also, isn't this beautiful, right? Isn't that just, it's just, so, I couldn't resist. You know, that's when I'll spend more money on something, is when the design is just so pretty and so unusual that I have to have it, right? It was like a real treat. So, the hemp oil, this is what it looks like. And yep. Oh no, Shannon is saying, oh no. Oh no. Shannon spilled half a bag of red milk paint powder on your lap while sitting on your bed last night. Shannon, I think Shannon does in-bed crafting, right? In-bed painting, not crafting. We're not crafting. We're decorative painters, right? Oh no, I bet you sat there, and she says she sat there in disbelief. You know what? I have done things where I've just stood looking over what I did because I think my brain is trying to catch up, right? With what a disaster it is, and then how am I going to clean this up? Hey, Sandy, good morning. Thanks for joining us. You spill everything, Shannon. You know, the sad thing is, like, when you spill something that you spent good money on, like milk paint, or even sadder is when you have a liquid that you can't even scoop up. Because here's a tip. If you spill powdered milk paint, even if you haven't vacuumed your floor and it's covered with cat and dog hair, you can sweep it up, mix up your milk paint, and then just pour it through some cheesecloth, and that will filter out all the bad stuff. Oh, Brenda says, Shannon, coffee yesterday, powder today. Oh, and man, you've got to be careful too when you wash your bedding, because it might activate the milk paint powder, and the red is like really intense. Barb says, I call it drop-itis. Oh my God, I love that. The funniest word, what are those, Barb? What are those words called when you kind of take a word like that? When, I don't know, there's some GIF or GIF out, and I was just laughing, you know, with one of my sons one day, and we were talking, I don't know, we were talking about lying, or somebody lied, and I looked up a GIF for lying, and they call it liabetes. I thought I was going to have a heart attack laughing. Oh my God. And drop-itis, I'm telling you. It's like last week, me with glass. Anyway, let me go over the facts about hemp seed oil, now known as milk oil. Okay, there it is. No, okay, wait. I have to go. I got to help Shannon here for a second. That's what you're worried about, Shannon, is activating the red. Probably have to throw it away. No, because it was the powder, right? What I would do is take it outside and do like they used to do in the Victorian times, hang it over a line, and you take something and you hit it. And then I would take a vacuum cleaner out and vacuum it. Oh, and Brenda's saying, I order a lot and have a lot of brown wrapping paper. It's on top of my expensive oriental rug layers, thick, while I work on stuff. It's so loud to work on. Your basement's almost finished. That's great. So you use brown paper, Brenda. You put that down, obviously, so you protect your rug. That's a really good idea, too. I used to work on top of a giant, really stiff drop cloth. I would put that under my big tables that I work on. Shannon, seriously, do that. Don't throw away bedding. Ugh. Okay. So this Milk oil, which is hemp seed oil, has no VOCs, and I'm not kidding. It's sustainably sourced. I believe this is also grown in the USA. And wherever, if it's maybe also grown in Canada, but I'm almost 100% sure it's grown with no pesticides or herbicides. So it's like food contact safe, and that's why you can use it on cutting boards. I have soapstone counters, and I use this on my soapstone. So it's food contact safe, non-toxic, 100% natural. It is solvent free. And it gives you a protected, water-resistant surface, right? So I don't seal my my soapstone. I put the oil, and the oil is absorbed into it. And I have to do this, actually my husband Rick does it, about 2 times a year. And I also have a big slab of marble that I have in an area, Carrara marble, that is unsealed. I don't use oil or anything on it. But for my soapstone, this is what I use. Now, listen to the things you can use it on. You can revive old wood finishes. So I have a lot of antiques in my house from my family that have been handed down. So I will use this on them, once a year. You can use it on raw wood like we're going to do today, on stained wood, obviously milk painted surfaces, right? Chalk painted surfaces. I have used it on chalk painted surfaces. I told you stone counters, soapstone, butcher block. It's perfect. Cutting boards, and even cast iron. Okay, so if you're reviving cast iron. And what's great about it, it doesn't leave a surface film that's going to crack or chip. It just kind of wears away, and then you add more, okay? And for really, if you're doing a piece and you want a lot of protection, you can add many, many coats of this, right? So you would put down a coat, let it soak in for a couple of minutes, wipe away the excess, let that dry for 24 hours, and then repeat that process. It takes, like wax, around 30 days to cure. And we talked about this in the membership yesterday. Curing means drying out. That's literally what it means. Like as wax dries out, it gets harder and harder and harder. And maintenance is like 1 time a year you would put another coat on. All right, wait, I have to... Oh God, Brenda's saying Victorian times. My Oma still beats her rugs in the 80s. I have her wicker beater and 2 ex-husbands. Brenda, you're killing me. That's hilarious. And yeah, those rug beaters were beautiful, right? But yeah, that's how I remember, like, you watching movies. My mother actually used to do that with some of our rugs. She'd bring them out and put them on the line and then hit them. Could you use it over a stencil and make it food safe? I wouldn't do that. Now, this is my feeling about, I know a lot of people are doing those charcuterie boards and doing all kinds of products. Not me. It's this. It's wood or stone and oil. That's it. If I were to make this a beautiful image or coffee time or, whatever, gather a word or a sign, that's going to go up on my wall. I don't mix the two. Because if you go through the hemp oil down to something that's not food safe, which happens, right? Then it's just not food safe. That's my feeling about it. The other thing to do, like if you had a piece of wood that you did a beautiful, artwork on and you want to serve food on it, I would get a piece of glass. go get a piece of glass cut and just plop it right down. And then of course you would have the edges of the glass have to be, you know, how they do that to the edges. And then it's food safe. I get really nervous about that stuff. Rolling pins, absolutely. I've got these rolling pins I used to sell in my shop from Vermont. Oh my God, this man made the most beautiful rolling pins. And yeah, hemp oil. Cast iron, right, Shannon? Brenda's saying, oh, hemp oil on antiques, I have to go through all my other crud first. Oh no. Yes, you can absolutely buff. It gives you just a little bit of a sheen. It's, you know, it's nothing, you know, crazy like you could do with wax. Brenda Barb's telling Brenda she's so funny. She is. She's hilarious. All right. So those are the facts that I gave you. If you have questions and if the person who contacted me is watching this, anything else, just let me know and I'll answer. So I use a natural bristle brush. This is just a little chip brush that I washed, and I really do use scrubby soap. I love it. And I use this just for hemp oil. And I'm moving my computer away. I don't want to get any oil on, you don't want oil on your electronics. In fact, let's just close that. And I just take, we'll start with the back. That's where it says by Anthropology. I just take my brush and brush right on the wood. And you can see like immediately it just starts to look really beautiful. And I am applying a good coat. And you can do this with a cloth also. I just find whenever I use a cloth, I feel like it's absorbing more of the product that I'm actually laying out or trying to spread out. And it's nice, you know, when you're using this, if you get it on your hands, if you touch your face, your mouth, you're not putting anything toxic into your system. So now in a not doing live world, look at how beautiful that looks. I would let this sit, I don't know, about 5 minutes. And then you have to wipe it off. And you really do have to wipe off the excess. It's not going to just evaporate. It's not going to all of a sudden start to absorb again. The wood is only going to absorb, the stone is only going to absorb as much of it as it will, and then it just stops. And once you do that, once you reach that point, grab a cloth. I just have a lint-free cloth. Brenda, isn't it gorgeous? Look at this. I just think that's beautiful, right? We're not always painting stuff here at Surface Anthology. There's the raw wood, and here it is after being hemp oiled, milk oiled. So I'm just going to wipe this off, and you see it's coming off, and it didn't, even though the hemp oil, the milk oil looks green, it doesn't make things green. The time of harvest really affects the color of the hemp oil. So you want to wipe away, just like I'm doing, turn the cloth, wipe away any excess. And Sandy's asking, hey Jane, quick question. Do you ever order the sample sizes? I have some, I just sold a bunch, and I'm going to reorder the little sample sizes. And you want to get every single color. Absolutely. And if they're out of stock, because sometimes they're out of stock, I even have some that, maybe a color that I have a lot of, I could open up the bag and just measure out my own samples for you guys. But look at this, right? Beautiful. So there's the milk oil side, and there it is. That's what it looked like before. Stunning, right? I just think it's absolutely beautiful. Now, I would let this sit. So if I did both sides at the same time, you know what I do? I'm gonna get oil in my hair. I let it sit on a cookie cooling, you know those screens, what are those called, you guys? You know how I am with names of things. Because I don't want to just put this down flat and have the oil part underneath not, you know, cure like the other part is. And I'll go by and kind of turn it over to let the other side dry. I hope you got that. I hope that makes sense. I just put it on a cookie cooling rack. And of course, because it's food grade, it's not gonna put anything bad on my cookie cooling rack. Thank you, Brenda. My whole life, I'm telling you, it's a name thing. A girlfriend of mine, Elizabeth Cullen, who's a great author, we went out to lunch and she told me, we were talking about learning disabilities because I'm really dyslexic. And she found out, she goes, you know, I've never been able to remember names, and she has issues with math, and she's a really brilliant person. And she has a kind of learning disability that's related to dyslexia. And she says, Jane, I think you should look into that too. And I'm like, great. It's so funny. All right, here we go. This is a totally raw milk painted frame. And all I do, and you're probably looking at this green and like, oh, it's going to affect it. It's not. Just take your brush, brush it on. Just like this. And again, in a perfect world, if this was not alive, I would let this soak in for a few minutes before I started to wipe it off. And get all the edges. Just like that. And I think, you know, I love painting frames and doing frames over. If you guys watch my YouTube videos, I did a plastic frame, a Sirocco frame with milk paint and totally transformed it. I absolutely love. So when you're out this weekend going to Goodwill or you drive past a tag sale, pick up those old frames. If they have an interesting shape, you can make them over with milk paint. All right, I take my cloth and wipe away. Just like this, right? And you see it goes right back to the original color. Now, when you have a piece like this with all these little nooks and crannies, you don't want to let the milk oil pool because it will not dry. It will get sticky and you won't be happy. It'll collect dust and you just don't want that. You really need to keep moving your cloth around and just wipe off the excess. The paint is fine. It doesn't do anything to the paint. For those of you in the membership, I showed you how to do the oil distressing. We're not doing that because this is a soft cloth. So you don't have to worry about affecting the paint finish. But I don't want to see any milk oil left in any of these little nooks and crannies. I'll go around the outside one more time. And there it is, all protected. Now this has to dry just like the cutting board, right? These have to dry. And if I wanted to, and I probably will do like 3 coats on this. And remember, I'm gonna do the other side, put it on a cookie sheet, turn it a couple of times. Then in 24 hours, I'm gonna do another coat. Same thing, because I want to have a nice soaking of oil before I start using this. Brenda's saying, oh, I have my American grandmother's bright, and I need bright gold Sirocco mirror. I'll be on YouTube after this. Absolutely. Brenda, I collect Sirocco. And if you guys don't know what Sirocco is, look it up. I'll do another live about that. It's got a really cool history, and their designs are really, really beautiful, especially the early Sirocco. And I think you spelt it right, Brenda. S-I-R-O-C-C-O. You can get some really cool stuff. And I remember I used to sell it in my shop, and not a lot of people knew what it was. So it's very, very cool. So you guys, that is it. Everything you've ever wanted to know almost about MilkOil, Miss Mustard Seeds MilkOil. And I have it in my shop. I've got it in this adorable 8 ounce. And by the way, a little goes a really, really long way. I am obviously not going to pour this back in because I put my brush in it. I'm going to use this for the other side. So you want to be conscious of that. Don't pour out more than you think you're going to use. And a little goes a long way. I'm not kidding. And like I said, I clean my brush. And really what you should do if you have a dedicated MilkOil brush is just write that on the handle. And I use my scrubby soap to clean it with super hot water. So you guys, thank you so much. Oh, Shannon, you are so welcome. Everybody, thank you for joining me. And if any questions do come up, please ask. I go in, Facebook has changed things recently. And my friends Joni, Tammy, and I were like, where is everybody? What is going on? So I'm always trying to go in there and check, but things are switched out. You could always email me if I don't get back to you, and it's JAYNE@surfaceanthology.com. Sandy, you take care. Thanks for joining. Barb, you too. And have a great weekend, everybody. Happy painting.